Welcome to today's webinar, Modernize 2D and 3D Takeoffs with Automated Workflows. Before we jump into the actual webinar, I wanted to introduce Microdesk and myself to you all. So my name is Carly Critchlow. I am a VDC coordinator here at Microdesk. I have about 3 years of experience with a background in architecture and construction management. I have experience with a lot of today's leading BIM technologies, including Revit, AutoCAD, and Navisworks. So a little about Microdesk now. It was founded in 1994 with a mission to assist AECO and GIS firms with a mission to improve workflows by integrating project delivery technologies. Microdesk is an AECO consulting firm, and we have 13 locations in the United States and UK. We have about 300 professionals, consultants, solution specialists, and software developers that can help in all sectors, disciplines, and stages. Next, a little bit our mission. So some of the hottest topics in the AECO world are globalization, urbanization, and sustainability. We use software from industry leaders and combine it with our vision and passion for sustainability to meet the demands of urbanization. Our team of industry expert consultants are redefining project delivery and asset management. Next, a little of what we do. So we are committed to helping clients realize the business benefits of BIM quickly by using the innovative technologies and processes. So whether it's streamlining your design, construction, or operations, our experienced group of consulting professionals are here to help. Microdesk clients represent some of the nation's largest and most respected organizations and public agencies. Some of these including the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Denver Airport, Columbia University, and among many others. Next, a little of what we do. So we're committed to helping clients realize the business benefits of BIM quickly by the use of innovative technologies and processes. Oops, sorry, one more slide over. All right, there we go. So our services. To help support the industry with these demands of urbanization, we do provide full service consulting. So these include building information modeling, technology management, mentoring and support, and application development, along with much more, as you can see listed here. So here at Microdesk, we do partner with world leaders such as Autodesk and IBM to utilize innovative technologies to empower sustainable design. So our vision is to reduce the environmental impact of urbanization by helping the AECO industry to design, construct, and operate better projects more efficiently by leveraging the full potential of BIM, VDC, and asset management. So now that we went over a little bit of who Microdesk is, we'll go ahead and jump into today's webinar. Before we jump in and start actually using the product, I wanted to go over what Autodesk actually is and some of its benefits. So Autodesk Construction Cloud Comprehensive 2D and 3D Quantification Tool. So it has the cloud-based document management. So this allows estimating teams to get simplified access to construction documents, drawings, and 3D models, which results in improved collaboration. And then with the simplified 2D takeoff, you can easily capture project scope with the linear, count, and area takeoff. It also allows you to generate multiple quantities and use custom formulas when you do your takeoffs. Along with the 2D, simplified 2D takeoff, you also will have the automated 3D takeoff, which allows you to get instant access to quantities from the BIM model to achieve time savings, and also allows you to visualize the model when you're doing your takeoff. And then lastly, the ability to aggregate 2D and 3D takeoffs. So the takeoff types can be used across 2D and 3D takeoff. This allows teams to access the quantities from drawings and the models in an organized and customizable view. So today's agenda, the first thing we'll go over is how to set up a project in Autodesk Takeoff, and then navigate the user interface, upload sheets and models, 2D takeoff from sheets, 3D takeoff from model, and then how to actually export the takeoffs. So we'll jump into Autodesk now. So here is, when you jump into Autodesk Construction Cloud, this is my project list. This is where you will go to create your new project. So here you'll see your BIM 360 projects, your Unify projects, project templates, and then create project. So to create your new project, you'll just click here. You will enter your project name, project number, account. This is the account that you want your project to be under. Project type. If you have an existing template that you want to work from, you have the option to choose that. Address, time zone, and start and end date. And then lastly, the project value. Once you have all of that information in, you would just create project and it would show up here. I'm going to work from an existing project just so we have some actual content to look at today. So I'm going to hit cancel here. Jump into this project here. And then the drop down at the top left will take you to your takeoff. And then when you first get into Takeoff, it will land you at your home page. It has a few getting started tips. So the first three, define classification and measurement systems for your project, upload 2D and 3D files, and create takeoff packages. So these are just some nice key steps to remember what you need to do first, which we will go over how to do. And then also when you first get to your home page, it will show you recent sheets and models that have been uploaded and recent takeoff packages that have been created. So over here on the left, the bottom tab here, settings. So this settings tab here is actually for the settings of the project that you just created. So that the name, address, start date, end date. So if you ever need to edit that, that is editable, and you can do that here. You can just hit save and it would save it. If you actually want to get into the settings for your actual takeoff, you would hit this packages tab. And then on the right-hand side, there's the settings. And this is where you would pick your measurement and classification. So it's very important to note that you need to choose this before starting any takeoffs. Once you start your takeoffs, you're not able to go back and change any of this. So it gives you a nice reminder when you land on that home page that you need to do so. So once you do that and get in there, measurement system, imperial or metric, and then classification system. So we have the master format, as you can see, which is required to pick one, and then classification system 2 is optional. So if you want to get more specific, you can go ahead and upload the system 2. And then this blue pop-up here, if you go ahead and click on that, that will show you what you are actually working with and what you have uploaded. And then this is customizable to whatever your company needs. So whatever, how specific you want to get, you can customize it however you need. So once you have created your project, your settings are all set, the next thing you would want to do is start to add your members to your project. So you go to your members tab here. You would see all your members that have access to this project, your email, what company they're with, role, access level, status, all of that information. To add a member, you just click on add member, enter their email, their company, role, what access you want them to have. So project member has access to all tools, and then project admin has admin permissions and can create new projects. And then you also have the option to invite them to other products that you might have. So it automatically chooses Takeoff since that's what you're in. But if you wanted them to have access to build or cost management, you would just go ahead and click that, and that would give them access to those products as well. And then you would just hit add, and they would get an invitation to this project. Go ahead and hit cancel there. So the next tab we're going to go over is the Files tab. So since this is a unified platform, it's super nice. All the documents that have been uploaded to build will be shown here, so you don't have to upload them twice. So say there's a model in the architecture folder that you need to do a takeoff from, you can go ahead and go into that folder, and then if you select it, you have the option to publish, and that just publishes it to this tab, Sheets and Models. Once you publish it, that means it's in your takeoff folder and you have access to do a takeoff on it. If for some reason there are not, if you have some files just on your computer that aren't uploaded, you do have the option to upload files from your computer, and they would upload here as well, along with 3D models. So once you feel like all of your sheets and models have been published or uploaded, the next step would be to start creating your packages. So to create a package, you would just go to the Package tab and create package. So here, again, this is kind of based on company needs. You can be as broad or as specific as you want to be here. You can either do it based on MEP, structure, architecture, or kind of get more specific into concrete, steel, masonry, diving in deeper there. So you would just enter a title and create package, and it would show up on this list here. So I'm going to jump into the example one that I created. Once you jump into that package, at the top left, you'll see this drop down. You'll have the option to jump into other packages that have been created or create a package from here as well. I'm going to stick with the example package. And then below that, you have two tabs, your sheet and models and your takeoff types. I'm going to stay in the sheet and models for now. So here you'll see all of the sheets and models that have been published or uploaded onto here. So you can either search for them by name, you can filter them by tags. Sorry guys, give me 1 second. I think my mouse froze. Okay, I think I'm good now. Sorry about that. All right, so you can filter it by tags, version set, document type. So if you want to see just the 2D sheets or 3D models, or the sheets and model, or if you want to see sheets and models that have started to take off on them. And then you also have the sort option, name, title, and date modified. And then if you start scrolling through the sheets, if you hover over a sheet or model in the right corner, you'll see a bookmark tag. You have the option to click that. And if you click that, it'll bring it up to the top of your page. So that's super nice if you know you're going to be working with a sheet or a model a lot. If you bookmark it, it'll just pop it right to the top, so you don't have to go finding it every single time. And then if you click it again, it'll just send it back into the list. So we're going to go ahead and start on this sheet here and start working towards a 2D takeoff. So before we start our takeoff, let's review some of these tools down here. So this first one here is just your selection tool. The second one is the pan. So this allows you to drag your sheet left and right and up and down. Third one is the fit to view. So if you're super zoomed in and you hit that fit to view, it'll kind of bring the sheet back to normal size. This one here is the window zoom. So if you need to go to a specific area, if you left click and drag, you can quickly get to a room or area. And then this section here is your takeoff tools. So we're going to get to those in a second when we actually start doing our takeoff. And then we'll also get to these tools in a second. This is your calibrate and measure tool. This here is your mini map. So as you can see here, just highlighting where you are at on the drawing. Just to note, if you are too zoomed out on the drawing, it won't show up just because you're not zoomed in on the drawing. There's no need for the mini map. Next to that is the settings. So just performance, navigation, and appearance. And then lastly, here is the full screen option. And then to get out of that, you can just hit the escape. All right, so we can go back to these calibrate tools. So firstly, the measure tool. So if you click 2 points, it'll quickly give you a measurement. And then if you hit escape, it'll get rid of that measurement for you. And then the calibrate tool is super important to note. So when you first jump onto a sheet, you want to make sure that it is calibrated or all of your takeoffs are not going to be correct. So if it is not calibrated, it will give you a warning. Let me find a sheet real quick. So this one here, as you see, if you jump on it and you've never calibrated it, it'll warn you scale not set, and also here scale not set. So you have two options to set the scale. You can either look at the drawing and see what is listed. So the 1/8 equals 1 foot. So from the drop down, you can go ahead and choose that. And then it'll give you a little notification that the calibration was saved and you are good to go to start your takeoff. And then the other option you can do is picking the 2 points. So if you click on the Calibrate tool, you can pick 2 points that you know the distance of. You click, and then I know that is 30 feet, so I'll go ahead and type in 30 feet. And then unit type, you have the option to change meters, centimeters, millimeters, whatever you need here. I'm going to stick this first one, and then you just hit calibrate. Also, when you calibrate a sheet, it does only do it for that sheet that you are on. It won't carry over onto any other sheets or anything. So once you are calibrated, you feel like everything is set, you're ready to start your takeoff. We'll jump to the second tab, the takeoff types. This plus button here, create takeoff type. So the first thing, the tools, so you have area, linear, count, and then this last one is BIM. So this BIM is only available to use when you're in a 3D model. So the first one we'll do an example of is area. So say we're wanting to go do wood flooring. So go ahead and type in that name. You'll select area. You have an option for the appearance. So you can pick your fill color. You want to do that color, and then your border, whatever you want that to be. Description, if you want to get more specific or a note to yourself on what you are doing, you can add anything there. Primary output, so you'll click add details. Output name, I'm going to keep that as wood flooring. Classification 1, so this is going to be finishes, so I'll go ahead and click the drop down here, flooring, and then I'm going to select wood flooring. And then classification 2, you can go ahead and get more specific if your company needs or wants, but you don't have to select a classification 2. And then unit of measure, so square footage. You have a couple options there. I'm going to keep it as square footage. And then the formula here is area. I'm going to go ahead and start takeoff. So zoom in. Let's say this lab room is wood flooring. So you can go ahead and go around and start to select your corners. It's super nice. It'll automatically snap to the corners for you. So I'm going to go ahead and select those. And then once you get to the end, if you just hit enter, it'll lock that area in. So 257 square feet of wood flooring in that area. So I'm going to hit my selection tool. And then you have a couple options once you have that set. If you right click on this, you can change it to arc segment, rotate. You can rotate it if you need to, mirror it if you have a room right next to it, or need to move it over, you have that option. You can isolate it if you have a bunch of takeoffs on this sheet and you only want to see this, you can go ahead and isolate this takeoff type. You can hide this takeoff type, and then you can assign location to it. So you could say what room it was in. Another option, insert vertex. So say a new drawing comes in and this room actually has a bump out here now. Instead of having to redraw the entire floor, you can insert a couple vertexes and start to drag those out and get your new shape. And then another option, once you do the square footage, this tool here is the cut out and combine. So say you need to cut out the center of this lab. If you go ahead and select your area, and then hit enter, here's your selection tool. You select the inner area that you just drew. You go down here and hit cutout, and then hit delete. It'll ask you if you want to delete these takeoff items. Just hit delete again, it's just confirming, and it'll actually cut out that area for you. And then the second option there is combine. So again, selecting that area tool, and then say you have another area here, and then pressing enter. Using my selection tool, I'll select this area, and then holding shift, I'll also select this X-ray development. And then down here, I'll hit combine, and it'll combine these areas into one. All right, so that's it for the area tool. The next the next takeoff type we'll do is the linear. So say we want to do drywall now. I'll go ahead and enter that name. Select tool. Appearance, again, you can choose however you want that to look. Description if you need one. Primary output, enter name. Classification, so finishes, plaster and gyp. I'm going to stick with the plaster and gyp here. And then again, classification 2 if you want to get more specific there. And then unit of measure, square feet. And then the formula here, since it is drywall, it will be the distance and then the height of that wall. And then also, another neat thing you can do if it has drywall on both sides of the wall, you can customize these formulas here. If you wanted, you could put in like ×2, so it would calculate both sides of that wall if you needed to. I'm going to stick with the distance and height, and then the input it needs from you is that height of that wall. So let's say that that is 10 feet, and then you'll go ahead and start takeoff. So we'll go ahead and do this X-ray room. So again, just selecting the corners going around this room. And then hitting enter to end it. And then if you hit your selection tool, select it, you'll have a couple options again, similar to that area one. So insert vertex if you need to start changing the shape of any of it. Change it to an arc segment. If you want to explode this polyline, you can. You can rotate it, again, isolating it and hiding that takeoff type. So if you want to explode, let's do that one. It'll explode it into all of the different segments. And then you can start moving those separately if needed. And then lastly, for the 2D takeoff types is the count. So let's say we want to do doors. So we'll do doors and then count. Here you have a couple more options. So the appearance, circle, triangle, square, diamond, check mark. I'm going to stick with circle. The size relative to the drawing, and then the color again. You can change that to whatever you want. Description, primary output, I'll stick with doors. Classification, openings, doors and frames, and I'll just stick with doors and frames here. Unit of measure, count, and then the formula is just 1. So I'll go ahead and start my takeoff. So for the count, you'll just go ahead and start going around, and you'll just start to click wherever you want to start counting those doors. And as you can see, when you place one, your count starts to go up. So if you use your selection tool, say a new drawing comes in, that door is actually moved to the other side now, you can select it and just move it over. All right, so that's all for the 2D takeoff types. So we're going to go ahead and jump into a 3D takeoff from model. So going back to the Sheets and Models tab, and then selecting whichever model that you need to start your takeoff. I'm going to jump into this first one here. All right, again, we're going to go over the tools just to get everyone familiar with them. So starting off this right corner up top, you have your home button. So just kind of fits your model to your screen, gives you a good overall view of everything. And then your view cube, so top view, and then you can turn it. And then different elevation views. And then along the bottom, again, you have your selection tool, allows you to just select different objects inside of your model. The next one is your orbit tool. So if you left click on your mouse and drag, it allows you to spin the model around. The next one is pan, similar to the 2D. Pan tool allows you to move your model up and down, left and right. And then the next one is fit to view. Again, just fitting your model back into your window space. And then window zoom. Say you want to zoom into this tree here, you would just left click and drag, and it would bring you closer to that object you want. We're going to go back to fit to view. The next one is a quick measure tool. So this is also nice. It'll also snap to points, so it's very easy to use. Say you want to do this outside of this window here, the top and bottom, so about 6 feet. And then if you hit escape, again, it'll just clear that measurement for you. This one here is first person. I'm going to skip over this first person for a second. We'll jump back to that in a minute. The next tool is your section box. So adding a Z plane, we'll add a section box on the top. The arrow allows you to drag that box up and down. And then also you can tilt it if you need to. The next one, Y plane, again, just dragging that arrow. X plane, same thing. And then the last one is the section box. So this big white arrow allows you to drag the box, and then this one here will allow you to move the box whichever direction you need. And then if you just click it again, it'll remove the section box for you. This next tool is called form clusters. This is super helpful when you're doing takeoffs to see what objects you've already done and what you still need to do. So when you hit form clusters, it's going to break your model up into all the pieces that your model are made of. So walls, floors, pads, and you can start doing your takeoff from the form clusters if you want, which I will show you how to do here in a minute as well. And then if you hit form clusters again, it'll just put your model back together. The next one is the model browser. So this allows you to select different objects within your model, hide them. Say you want to see the roofs. It'll kind of zoom you into that object and kind of isolate the other objects in like a shaded mode. And then if you right click up in space, you can show all objects again. Next one, properties. So if you select something, your roof, it'll show you in your project browser what that is. But if you need some more information, you can pull this up and I'll give you some more details on what that actually is. Sorry guys, 1 second again. My mouse froze, I think. All right, sorry about that. I think I'm good now. All right, so I'm gonna exit out of those two for now. Your next tool is the levels tool. So this is pretty cool too. It'll split your model up for you. So lower level, canopy, ground floor. So super easy to use. And then if you want to get out of the levels, all you have to do is click on it again and it will bring your full model back. And then the next one is your settings. Again, just performance, navigation, appearance, and environment. So you have some options in the environment, how you want your model to look. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to this first person one. So if you go ahead and click on this first person, your first time in your model, a little box will pop up and show you the keys to use. So you will have to use your arrow keys. The up arrow key will walk you forward, the down, backwards, left will walk you left, and right will walk you right. Your left mouse is going to allow you to look left and right, up and down, just whichever way you're dragging your mouse. And then if you double click on an object, it'll zoom you into that area. I am now in the lobby space and then holding down my left mouse, just kind of looking around. And then if I use my up arrow, it will allow me to walk forward. My right arrow allows me to spin to the right. And then walking backwards using that down arrow. All right, so now that we've gone over all of the tools, we'll start getting into the 3D takeoffs. So the first one I'll show you is how to actually start a takeoff when you're inside of the model. So say I want to do these lights here. I'll hit my selection tool. I'll go ahead and select, oops, sorry, I think there's a 4 there, that's what it selected. So if you right click, you can actually hide selected, and I'll hide that, and then you'll be able to select the light above that. So I selected that light, and then if you right click here, you can hit select all 6-inch lights. So then if you go to takeoff types, you can create takeoff type, and then it'll automatically populate that name for you. You do have the option to change it. Say you don't want to be that specific, or you want to be more specific than what it automatically named, you do have that option. So say I just want to do 6-inch interior lighting. So the tool I'll use is the BIM tool, since I'm in the 3D model. Appearance, I'll use a yellow for the lighting. Again, you have an option to put the description in there. Primary output name, I'll stick with that 6-inch interior lighting. You do have an option, you can copy and paste that. Classification, so that would be under electrical lighting and then interior lighting. And then again, just getting more specific with that classification too, if needed. Unit of measure, we'll stick with count for the lighting, and then the formula is just count. So we'll go ahead and start takeoff. So it's counting 24 lights. One important thing to note in the 3D takeoff, once you have that and you feel like you're good to go there, you will want to hit this blue check mark, and it will send it to your inventory list. Once you do that, you'll see that the model changed and your lighting is now yellow to reflect the appearance that you picked. So another option to do a 3D takeoff is in that form clusters. So all I did is hit that form clusters and then fit to view. So say I want to start on some doors maybe. So you can go here. If you select a door and then right click, select all 36 by 84, and then create takeoff type. Again, it'll automatically populate that name for you. I'm going to get a little more specific with that name. Say you want to know what type that is, you can pull up your properties and you can start seeing the name. So that's single flush with metal frame, if needed. The tool, again, sticking with that BIM tool, appearance, description, doors, I'm going to copy this name over here, classification, doors and frames, and then count, and then start takeoff. So again, you can see that it counted 47 doors of that type. You'll go ahead and hit this blue check mark, and it will color those for you. So when you are in the form clusters, it's super easy to start to see what takeoffs you still have left and what you've done already. So over here in this area, you can start hiding the takeoffs you've done and kind of graze those out so you can see the doors that still need to be completed. And then you can just click that again, it'll bring those back. I'm going to go ahead and hit form clusters to get my regular model back. And then the last way to do a takeoff is from the model browser. I'm going to go ahead and open my model browser. Say I wanted to start doing my flooring. I'm going to go through and look for flooring in my model browser. So floors, let's say I want to do this generic 12. So I'll go ahead and click on generic 12 and it will show me where that's located in the model and kind of gray out everything else. So I'll go ahead and click on that flooring. Actually, in the model browser, you can right click on that flooring, select all generic 12. All right, let's do that over. So you'll pull up your model browser, looking for flooring, you'll select your generic flooring. You can right click, select it, right click, show all generic 12, and then start or create takeoff type. Again, the name will populate, so generic 12-inch flooring, appearance, pick whatever you want, stick with black, description, and then your output. Finishes, and then flooring. Unit of measurement. Again, you have the different options here. I'm going to stick with square feet, and then the formula is area. I'm going to go ahead and start takeoff. And then you can see it calculated how much square footage you have of that generic 12-inch flooring. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that blue check mark, and that will complete that one. And then if you right click and show all objects, it'll bring your entire model back. All right, so that's all for the 3D takeoffs as well. So once you feel like you have completed all of your takeoffs and you want to start looking at your inventory list and exporting your inventory, at the bottom left, you'll see this little button here. You'll go ahead and click on that, and that'll bring up your inventory. So you have the option to group by classifications, document, takeoff type, and location. So I'm going to keep it at that classification one. And then next to the export, you have the option to open inventory in a new window. So once you start really diving into your takeoffs, this starts getting really busy. You have the option to open this up, and if you have two screens, it's super nice to drag this onto another screen. You can look at your model and your sheets and the inventory all at once. If you hit X here, it'll just bring it back down to your regular screen. So once you're here, you can start clicking on the different takeoffs you've done. You can see the output name, the quantity, document. If you set that location when you did that, when you started doing your takeoffs, you'll see the location there. And And then once you think everything is set there, you'll go ahead and hit export. And an Excel sheet will start downloading. Go ahead and hit open. And again, this Excel file will look exactly like that inventory list that you saw inside of Autodesk Takeoff. So the openings, finishes, electrical, with the quantity, instances, unit, classification. If you put any descriptions in there, all of the information is listed out here. So some of the benefits listed out here. So all the information being in one location instead of those separate data silos. Takeoffs being able to be worked on together. Being able to customize all the takeoffs to company standards. Easily track changes throughout the project. Being able to compare the 2D and 3D takeoffs, and being able to connect to estimating solutions through the Excel export.